Happy Tuesday! It's time again for Stories with Sarah Lizabeth. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Tuesday to hear one of my stories. I love sharing these stories because it just shares moments that I hope will help others out there. And, I've just experienced a lot, so I'm excited to share them with you. This story that I'm going to talk to you about today is one that I hope will help people if you need to talk to a bride or groom about your thoughts and feelings about who they're going to marry. You need to do that like now and not on the wedding day. So this one's a good one, lots of drama, so I'm excited to share it with you. The client had called me right before her wedding to give me a little history on the dynamics of the parents on both sides and their thoughts and feelings towards the wedding. Now, since this wedding, and this was years and years and years and years ago, I actually talked to my clients about their parents and the relationship that they have and any kind of, information that they could feel comfortable telling me. Because on the day, I have to play, mediator and make sure that, parents are happy and bride is happy and nobody is, putting their own issues onto the bride and groom, because that happens a lot. And so the client had called me and told me, both sets of parents were divorced. The 4 sets hated each other. I mean, didn't even want to be in the same room with each other. I wasn't sure what to expect when I got there, because on top of them all hating each other, they did not like that they were getting married. So that was a whole nother fun dynamic to deal with. So I really was nervous driving to that ceremony rehearsal to kind of figure out how am I going to best serve them in this unfortunate situation. So I knew that I had my work cut out for me. How was I going to have all of these grown adults act like adults and not let the past affect the day? So I was very nervous driving to the ceremony because on top of all 4 sets of them hating each other, they were not happy with the 2 of them getting together and getting married. This was not a happy celebration. This was, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, and because that person is half of you and that person is half of you, no. And nobody was excited, which was really, really unfortunate. I remember walking in and just I did a quick roll call, who are you? Who do you belong to? I knew that nobody liked each other. So, I tried to stay positive and say, hey, this is so excited. Such an exciting time for the clients. I bet you guys are excited for them, and just tried to rally the troops and get them pumped up. And so I was kind of occupied with that and thinking about everybody else's feelings and how to manage all these people and their history. It's unfortunate and there is history, but the day of the event is not the day to start bringing up things from the past. Let the past be the past. And so I see the bride and groom. They are very excited because they're gonna get married and they're excited and they love each other. And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks or feels about it. They know that they want to be married and they are excited. So I was excited because I was excited for them. Then the groom needed to go to confession. This was part of their church, right before the rehearsal, the groom would go to confession. So he goes into confession. Y'all, he stayed in there for an hour. Now, let's picture this. Groom goes to confession for an hour. Sarah doesn't know family, but does know that everyone hates each other. I mean, I was trying to think of like every joke I could tell. Could I sing them a song? Could I entertain them in any possible way where they would forget where they are and they would just love each other? So there was a lot of impromptu little what do I do? I remember talking to the bride and just being like, is this normal? Like, do people go into confession for an hour before their rehearsal? She did not have an answer for me, but she did not seem very alarmed by this. So I just went with it. I was like, I mean, good for you. Let's get this all out. Let's get this all done and we can like move forward and get married. So I was like, great, that's awesome. So he comes out of confession. Nobody thinks that it was strange. Nobody's saying anything different about it. So I'm just like, okay, great. How was it in there? Like, I literally said, how was it in there? Because I didn't know what to say. I was like, you were just in confession for an hour. What'd y'all talk about? Did you meet Jesus in there? Like, what was going on? So, you know, that was fun. And then we started the rehearsal. And, you know, when I start a rehearsal, I talk about how it is about the bride and groom. And we are to leave our stuff at the door when we get there. And I was like saying it with, you know, conviction this time around. And so, you know, I tried to set the tone that, you know, we were there to celebrate the couple and that our stuff didn't matter that day. And I kind of walked them through what was going to happen the next day and the schedule of events and just kind of generally gave them some information on the day. And we started the rehearsal, and the rehearsal was great. I mean, there was nothing other than the fact that when I lined them up to come in, you know, nobody wanted to stand next to the other person because they didn't like the other person. So that was a little challenging, but we made it through the rehearsal, and then they were off to their rehearsal dinner. I will never forget the moment I got in my car after the rehearsal. I just sat there like, oh boy. I didn't know what to think or feel. I was sort of numb because for the last, what should have been an hour rehearsal and then an hour of confession, so for the last 2 hours, I was like on. I was trying to entertain and trying to, you know, make everybody happy. I was tired, and I had to drive about 2 hours back to the shop to continue working on their flowers for the next day. But I needed a minute to sort of just go, whew, that was a lot. So we had made it to wedding day, and we started I was starting at the reception venue with setup, and then we had the ceremony at another location at the church. So I really didn't see a lot of people in the morning because I was busy with the flowers and decor. And so when I got to the church, you know, I got there in time to set up the decor at the church and be ready for them when they arrived for photos. So the bride and groom saw each other beforehand and they took photos. And it was great. I mean, they were, you know, everybody was getting along. In the bridal party, you know, they were all super excited and, you know, just excited to be there on their wedding day. But I knew the family photos were coming up. So that meant the family was gonna arrive. So I was like gearing myself up again. Like, okay, you know, how I thought that I needed to take the responsibility of making them happy, I don't know. But it was just my natural kind of, I need to do this for them. And this will help my client have a better day. But anyway, so they, you know, they get there. They're not really saying much. They're just kind of like being very somber and just kind of glaring at each other. You know, they're saying a lot without saying anything. And so we're taking photos, and there was this moment where I realized Mama is not happy. She is not happy. Mother of the bride was really unhappy with this day. She did not want her baby girl to marry this man. Again, this is a conversation that should have happened a long time ago. But she was there, and she was letting everybody know her thoughts and feelings. And she was, hell-bent and determined to make sure that the groom knew exactly how she felt about him. So I'm just observing all of this, and I see things that are happening, and then I keep going over to the bride and just making sure that she's okay, because she saw it too. And hey, I just want to check in with you. Are you okay? This is not okay, what is happening, but are you okay? And we can't change mom's behavior, so unfortunately, we're just gonna have to work around that. So I'm getting ready to get everybody lined up, and at this point, they are the parents, the four sets. It's typically parents, and they just go, right after the other. And we did separate, bride's parents, groom's parents, and alternated bride's parents, groom's parents. So we tried to put a little separation in there. But the fact is they didn't like the people that they were married to, and they didn't like the in-laws. So there's just a whole mess of people just not liking each other. And they didn't want to stand next to each other. I would put them in line, and they would get out of line. And I literally had to put them in line 10 times. Hey guys, can you just, stay here for just a minute? I don't need y'all to talk to each other. I don't need you to hug it out and make amends and have this, forgiveness, session. I just need you to stand here so that I can get everybody down the aisle. All I need you to do. So finally, the ceremony was about to begin. As the ceremony started, they were, the parents were whispering things, under their breath to the other. I mean, it was obvious that, they were making a statement of this and this wedding and exactly how they felt. But mother of the bride was the most vocal, and she was the last one to go in. And as she's walking in, she is screaming down the aisle, all the way down, how much she hates the groom. I could not make this up. And I stood there at the doors and watched someone take it onto their, own responsibility to ruin this day. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned, and at the same time, I was I gotta take her out. This is not okay. And she got all the way down the aisle and let everybody know what she thought in the church. And I just was wow, that is unreal. Because even if you do have a problem, I get that. I understand that. But you should love your children enough to not do things like that on the biggest day of their life. It's not cool. Don't do it. We got through the ceremony and we were on our way to the reception. And I remember talking to the bride and groom after the ceremony and just making sure, hey guys, are you okay? I hate this for you. And is there anything that I can do to change this behavior or, I don't know what to do, because it's a very sensitive subject. There is a line that sometimes you can't cross. And me as a professional and someone that always has the client's back, the family dynamic, especially the parents, there are some things that I just can't touch. And that was one of those times where I felt like this is way bigger than what I can do. And, I would have done anything I could. I would have erased, what had happened in the past if I could. If that meant that it would, help their wedding day, I would do it. But so we kind of just had to sit in the fact that that just happened and move forward. And so we were headed to the reception, and the bride and groom came in and they loved everything. And, we were having a good time at the reception. And so I was feeling like, okay, like that part is past us. Now we can have some fun. When we got to the reception and we, went through the activities of the reception, my eye was always on Mom, because I was like, what is she gonna do here? What is gonna happen? And I would never have thought anyone would have ever done that. So I can't wait to see what she's gonna do now. But she actually started to sort of calm down. She started to enjoy herself. I don't know if someone got a hold of her, got in her ear, told her to calm down. But she was, enjoying the party, and she was dancing, and she was starting to kind of, be involved. And she was, she and the bride were not talking because of, obviously, from what she had done. And so that was disappointing too, because you want them all to be happy on their wedding day, everyone. And so anyways, I'm watching her, making sure that, she doesn't go crazy on us here and do something that she shouldn't do. Because at that point, I was ready to tackle. I was like, I will get you. And this will not happen again. But I was thankful that she was, participating, and the families were separated at this point at the reception. So we were all enjoying it at this point, which was very refreshing. At the reception, there was a moment where I got to confront the mother of the bride. Y'all, I don't do this often, unless it's a situation like this where, it's just not right. I understand family dynamics, and I do know there is a line, and I don't cross it. But we had a moment alone together at the reception, and I don't know why, but I just felt like I needed to say to her, that was not okay, what you did to her. And it's not gonna change the fact that you did it, but it is not okay. That beautiful person over there is your baby girl who loves you despite what you've done. And it is not okay to do what you did to her. And I kind of was expecting her to come at me and we were gonna fisticuffs after I said something to her, because I didn't know her personally at all. And so I didn't know how she was gonna respond to that. But she actually responded and said, I know, I shouldn't have done that. And I said, oh, maybe you should, talk to your daughter, and maybe now's not the right time, but she seems like she's having a wonderful time at her reception. She's married a man that she loves and adores, and that's her choice. Despite what we may think as parents, it comes down to your adult child's decision. And so, I encouraged her in the end of our conversation that there was an opportunity to try and make it right. And so I sat back a little bit and observed what was going to happen. And she walked over to her daughter, and they had a conversation. And I don't know what was said. I don't know their relationship and their dynamic. But I sure do hope that it was good and that she said nothing more than, I love you. And that's all she needed to say, I think. Because ultimately, that's what her daughter wanted. She wanted to know that her mama loved her for just being her. After that moment happened, I remember the bride's sister coming over to me, and she looked at me and she goes, I bet you never seen that. And normally I'm like, oh, I've seen it all. I have experienced it all. But I was like, you are right. And I pray to God I never see that again. That was awful. So in the end, there was redemption. And, there was redemption on, mom and bride being able to talk it out, hug it out, and continue and move forward from that. And there was forgiveness that needed to be given. And somehow all of that managed to happen at the reception. And then the best part about the story is that these two are very happily married. They have a family now. And I see them, I try and stay in contact with my clients on Facebook or just kind of keep up with their life. And every time I see a new picture that's posted, and every time I see their, babies in a Easter outfit or, Halloween costume or doing something, cool at school or something like that, I just am so happy for them. Because they knew that they wanted life together. And it didn't matter what anybody thought. They knew that they were supposed to be together. And they continued down that path. And now they have a beautiful family. And it doesn't matter anymore what, people think or feel about it. So that's good. That's good. And I was excited for that. So, y'all, that was crazy. Like, don't ever do that. It's not a good idea. It will not end well. I promise you, it will not end well. I hope y'all have enjoyed this crazy story. And, if there is anyone in your life that's getting married and, you feel like you need to speak into their life, and just, I don't know the dynamics there, but, do it before the wedding. And not right before the wedding, and do it with wisdom and love. If you really feel like you've got to say something, then do it out of love, not out of the fact that, you just don't like it or, your families are broken. Because, I get it. I understand it. I just don't want it happening anymore at one of our weddings because that was not fun. And so anyways, crazy story, and I hope I never see it again. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. And it made for a good story, I guess. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for spending time with me today. And I hope y'all have an amazing week ahead of you. And I look forward to the next time we get to spend a little time together. Take care.